This week on New to You, High Fantasy Part 3, Willow. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the New Show. We are on the third of our High Fantasy. Thus far, we have covered the story of Calvervo, a Tolkien Tolkien tale, and we've covered the never-ending story, a Sarah Burns tale.
Check it out for free on the internet.
Yeah, or 99 cents.
Maybe
and then try to
99
get a
cents.
charge back on your account. All right, so this week we're going to have Jules' pick up on the dock. But before we get into that, I'm one of your hosts, John Holt. Keith,
I'm one of your other hosts, Keith Allen Vincent. Jules.
I'm your other host, Julian Cage, and special guest.
Brian, I am special, and I am a guest as well.
Welcome, Brian.
These things are true.
All right, so we are a media discussion podcast where we pick a topic and everybody brings something to the table and we all dig in. Some of us have never seen, read, listened to this stuff before, and some of us have done it a whole bunch, but you know what? May have been a while. So let's chat about it. So, Jules, you're up on deck. Let's roll right into it.
From the creator of Star Wars, from the director of Cocoon, a world is awakening.
Why, with the strength of my great army, can you not find one little child?
It's a dangerous world. That's why we need your help.
Your journey has just begun.
Willow.
So my pick is 1988's Willow. It's pretty much George Lucas's baby. He came up with the story and he produced it. He proposed it to, help me out, I blanked on the director.
Ron
Howard. So he pitched it to Ron Howard, and he had also worked with the film star Warwick Davis, who plays Willow, the titular character. He had played one of the Ewoks.
He was Wicket.
Yeah, he was Wicket in Return
He
of the
was
Jedi.
Wicket.
And then there were also some straight to TV
made for
movies,
TV.
that he also starred in. And
Which were great. There's one of those I really love. They made Ewok movies made for TV.
There are two of them.
Yeah, one of them was really cool.
Ewok
They were
Adventure.
yeah, and there was this one little creature that kind of looked like an Ewok, but it was really fast, like Flash. Yeah, it's really awesome.
And this is the film by which we compare all other films. It's become that watermark for us.
Because it's a solid 75%.
Yes. Although, I mean, I think in some ways it's a subjective scale because it's just how you compare. That's how you rate other films.
Mhm.
So wherever you put Willow on your,
That's
whether
what's so
it's a
good about this
75 for you
scale.
or 100,
Yeah.
then you compare other films to it. But I think, it kind of ends up working out because if you think Willow is a 75 and I think it's 100, and then I say, well, this is better than Willow, then you know what Willow is to you, so you can say, okay, if it's better than Willow, then I'll give it a
No,
chance.
then that's when you go, nothing can theoretically be more than 100%.
It's not percentages, so
Yeah,
it can
it's
go
like
on
a
to
grade.
infinity.
There's extra credit in grades. Like you can have a GPA of above 4.0 if you do it right.
But anyways, it is a high fantasy tale because it takes place in a land far, far away, probably.
They never even say the name of the.
They don't.
No.
So maybe it couldn't be Earth. So maybe it's not. But I assume
It's gotta
being
be a
George Lucas,
different-
it's a land far,
yeah.
far away, and it's a land full of magic and other races and full of
They're Nelwins and they're
brownies,
What do they call the Daikinis?
Daikinis.
Are the tall regular people. Nelwins are the regular people. That is Willow.
Although we don't know what is regular in this world. So
I think since our story is about Willow, I think Willow's the regular person in this story.
That's true. So they're giants.
Mm-hmm.
Daikinis or whatever. It's a story of, so essentially at the beginning of the story, this evil witch has taken control of the land, essentially, and there's a prophecy that a babe will be born that will become her undoing. And so she like has all the
Every
pregnant
pregnant
women
woman.
rounded up, and she's trying to kill all the babies, basically.
And they're,
Oh, no, she
they're
just-
looking for the mark.
There's a mark.
Right.
Yeah.
The special baby will have a mark, like a little tattoo type of thing that
Birthmark.
identifies.
Yeah.
And so clearly she's super evil because she's trying to round up this baby and kill it.
Well, her name's Bad Morta. I mean, that's like
Yeah.
pretty dead
Yeah.
giveaway.
But that's a direct English translation of Pharaoh.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So like,
No.
if we had, when you say
Baby
say
Moses.
Pharaoh in the Egyptian language, it's Pharaoh, but when we say it in English, it's Bad Morta.
Bad Morta.
But I mean, in classic Lucas fashion, the story is sort of takes all of these different pre-existing things and kind of like stirs them into a
Right.
pot. So it's like
Puts them in a
it's like-
blender like you do with eggs and orange juice.
Exactly.
Coffee.
And coffee and chocolate.
Yeah.
Oh, there was chocolate in it.
Yeah, so it's like Moses meets Lord of the Rings, meets Gulliver's Travels, meets Sleeping Beauty / Snow White. And it's also like there's a lot of like scenes in it that are like, oh, this was exactly the same in Star Wars, you know? So anyway. So it's very derivative, but it's fun, you know, I would say. So this baby is hidden and rescued by a nursemaid, and she runs away from. She's chased by these dogs. She drops it in a river because she has to escape, and the baby ends up floating to the village of Willow, and so his children find it. And so Willow's a farmer in what are they called in the
Nelwyn's.
yeah
Nelwyn Village.
so they're at Nelwyn Village, and so he's at first trying to not take on this responsibility, this baby, and telling his kids, "Hey, let's leave it." But then, you know, he ends up.
He looks in her eyes.
Yeah, and he falls in love, and
Well, she's also a magical baby, and she's
Yeah.
treacherous and seductive.
I think she has pheromone powers.
Yeah.
But
Already?
I will say that I don't know where they dug this baby up, but it is so expressive and amazing. They have
Right.
all these cutaways of this baby,
Oh,
and always in the
yeah.
right location.
Expressive.
And the baby's always making some amazing expression that like fits the scene perfectly. And you're
Well,
like,
no,
how did they do
there's
it?
if you watch, so it's interesting. Like I don't
Is
know
that
if this
Bryce
is on
Dallas Howard?
I don't know if this is in the Blu-ray, but they said specifically they went to a country where you're allowed like a certain level with if a child's under a certain age,
Uh-huh.
you're allowed to like apply like small burns to it. And so they're able to get this range of emotion by like
Poking and prodding it.
electrocuting, just like
Kind of like Mr. Ed.
yeah, very similar.
Yeah.
Just like put a carrot in its butt.
Mhm.
Mm.
Was that a joke from?
That's from the movie.
I
with-
couldn't quite.
with
Bobcat
John Candy
Goldthwait?
and yeah, Bobcat Goldthwait. Yeah.
I couldn't quite place some of those expressions. Now it makes sense.
Mhm.
Yep.
Anyway, so sorry, it's bedtime. That's what my phone is telling me. So he finds this baby, and he's a farmer, but at the same time he wants to be a great magician.
He
So
wants to
he's
be a wizard.
yeah, he wants to be a
And the
wizard.
best way that he knows is to become the apprentice
Mhm.
of the great elder of the village.
Yes, and so there's sort of a town festival going on where he brings a baby, and then these like wolf creature things that are after the baby.
Yeah, they're like
Rat
dogs with like
dogs.
applications. Yeah.
Yeah, so they show up and they hear that like they're looking for this baby, and so Willow has to bring the baby out to the town, be like, okay, hey, we found this baby, and because he
This is a special
And
child.
jumping to that scene, his dog, like they really must have terrified that little girl.
Oh yeah.
yes, she's
know that?
really
Where she's
crying.
like-
Yeah.
Because like the little girl is like Willow's daughter
Yeah.
is just like alone in this crowd of people, and she's bawling.
Oh, yeah.
Like she looks.
And she has the most amazing bangs. They like go all the way to her eye. I don't know how they grow hair like that. It's amazing. Zoya, I was telling her like she looks like she's really crying. So I was like, well, they probably told her what was going to happen, but then like
In real
with all
life,
this
these
with all this
dogs,
chaos
yeah.
going on, she was probably got actually scared.
Yeah,
And I was
she's
like,
really she's
maybe,
pretty
but
young.
it's sad.
Because those dogs are really kind of scary looking too.
Long story short, they're like, well, since you found the baby, you have to take it to the humans and let it be their problem.
Yeah, to the
Because
Daikini.
they recognize that it's special, and so he's chosen to take care of the baby and sent off with a couple of warriors and a leader. What's that? Do you guys remember that character?
Burblecut.
Burblecut. He's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Funny character.
All the characters are like that's what's really nice. Everyone is pretty well established
Yeah.
early on. Like all the characters get.
I like his
good-
buddy
Yeah,
Migosh.
well
Migosh is great.
And
yeah,
even
well
the two
defined.
warriors,
They have
like
a character.
And it's actually interesting because you almost think like, hey, these guys are gonna be like, this is the Fellowship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are gonna be the guys we follow through this entire movie.
I don't remember if the guy's name is Bonkar or Vonkar.
It's like Vonkar.
Yeah,
and
who's
it's
the,
Vonkar's
who's the warrior.
Yeah.
Yeah, and these people in this town, it is very reminiscent of the Hobbit and the Shire.
Yeah.
I mean, it has similar vibes.
Yeah, it's pastoral,
Mhm.
like just these people who have
Farmers.
like internecine struggles where they're just like, yes, he wants to be a wizard and that's his like big goal, but it's still sort of like, I'm gonna get your farm,
I'm gonna get your
Willow.
land.
Yeah, but it's a simple life. But yeah, I like that they establish all those motivations and that he has a family and he really cares for his wife and all that stuff. So that then when he goes off on this adventure, like unlike Bilbo, he's very like he's got a lot to lose and he's like he has a home that he really wants to go back to. Not just because there's delicious food there, because he has a family and stuff. And so that makes his
and there's a timeline. He has to go get his like harvest in and all that stuff too.
Yeah.
That's
and
another.
so that makes it, all of his choices and his adventures from there on that much more courageous and all that. So that I thought that was really nicely set up. And then they go off on this adventure. He ends up essentially getting ditched by his party with the baby, more or less. The only human he can find that will take the baby is this
criminal.
This criminal played by Val Kilmer. He's called Mad Mardigan. And he's clearly like an unattached warrior who like didn't want to bend the knee to anyone.
Mercenary.
And it's like another piece of the Johnny Depp puzzle when he was building Captain Jack Sparrow. Like it's got that same like rapscallious like ooh, like I'm a little bit crazy, rolling
a little
around.
Han Solo, yeah.
He's this movie Han Solo exactly. And anyway, so he sort of reluctantly ends up leaving the baby to Val Kilmer and to
Mad Mardigan.
To Mad Mardigan. And Mad Mardigan is just like to be free because he'd been locked
they
up in
release
this
him
cage.
from a crow's cage
Yeah.
type of a
Right.
place.
Well, it's like, okay, great. He starts heading back home. But then soon after, he's attacked by a bunch of brownies, which are these super tiny, like, that's where it kind of
Kinda
gets
like-
Gulliver's Travel-y,
Yeah.
where it's these, like, small bands of warriors.
Like imps type of things, yeah.
Yeah, and they attack them, shoot arrows at him, and they've also stolen the baby from Val Kilmer. But they were actually asked to by this, like,
The
fairy
enchantress
lady.
of the the queen of the fairies, Cherylindria. Or is it Cherylindrian?
She's a flowing, glowing lady.
I think it's Cherylindria because he goes, I have Cherylindria's wand.
Mm-hmm. And so she ends up then giving us some exposition and filling in the rest of the story.
She can communicate with the baby.
Yes,
And this
so
is
she-
like all like ticking the boxes of the
Yes.
hero's journey too. It's like reluctant hero
Right.
turns away from the face of the initial thing, put back on the path, like tick tick tick,
Yeah.
very blatant.
Yes, and sometimes it's a little bit laborious at times. Like the pace kind of slows down. I think in the like somewhere in the second act or whatever. And then so anyway, so she sets him like a more specific quest. He has to go find this other
Finrazel.
this other
Like a wizard, yeah,
woman, whatever,
sorceress.
that can
There's only
return
one
her
sorceress
wand
that's
'cause-
strong enough to face Bad Morta.
Exactly.
It's Finrazel.
And so he's sent off, unfortunately, with two of the brownies to lead the way. And then these two little brownies are like then the comedic relief, I guess, for the rest of the movie. And they're the like two characters that I just wish like weren't like in the rest of the movie. Like
Yeah.
they're kind of useless. They're not that funny. And they couldn't quite pull off the effects either. They're kind of the weakest point
Right.
effects-wise because they had to shrink these guys and have them be in all these shots. And they really just don't add anything. And a lot of times, like, they cut away to them in the middle of action scenes
Yeah.
that are kind of exciting. And then it's like, comic relief. And you're like, why are you here?
falling
And
in this
They're like the Jar
wagon.
Jar Binks of this movie.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that are built to like bring it, like they're the ones that edge it towards like this movie is more for kids.
Right.
Yeah.
They're the ones that
Except that they drink beer and try to like
yeah, but so you have
use love potion on women.
but that's
and
like
stuff.
but that's like cartoony. It's
Yeah.
like and it's execution, it's still sort of like taught when Jerry falls into a bottle that says XXX on
Yeah.
it, and then stumbles around with bubbles over his head.
Yeah.
It's that same like level of like silliness.
But yeah, but they quickly.
I didn't see that episode of Seinfeld. Did that happen in that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rewatching this.
But one of the brownies was Kevin Pollak.
Yes,
too.
which I also
He's
found
really
very
great.
amusing.
Yeah. He was in The Usual Suspects. Is probably one of my favorite goes.
He's
Yeah.
really good in the Few Good Men.
Oh yeah.
But this is definitely. I was kind of surprised to see him in this role
Yeah.
as well, where he's just a total.
Well, I feel like
slapstick
he
clown.
I think this is one of his breakout
pretty
roles.
young,
I
too,
yeah, I
yeah.
think this is like he was a stand-up at the time. Just
Yeah. Anyway, terrible. Wish he wasn't in the movie. I mean, I guess they do like are there for some plot devices, but like it easily could have been someone else, and a lot of times
Yeah.
they just make the scenes there more confusing and
Yeah.
weird. Anyway, so then they reconnect at some point along their journey. They reconnect with Val Kilmer.
Mad Mardigan.
With Mad Mardigan. Sorry. It ends up being mutually beneficial for them to work together again, and they manage to escape. And that's where we're also
patrol. Yeah.
introduced. Yeah.
Well, I will let me just stop you here because I
Yeah.
will say this is the one flaw in Willow
Okay.
is
The brownies. We already covered that.
well the brownies. I don't have
And
as
just
bad,
like
I don't
that-
have as
and
much
the
of a
magical
problem. with-
fairy like Deus Ex Machina. Hey, look, they have a baby carried by an eagle. What's going on here?
Well, in this scene here with it's the so he goes to this pub and they're
Trying
like,
to
get
find
out of here,
someone.
Peck. You know, and he's like, please, can I have some milk for my baby?
Mhm.
And they're like, get out of here. And
Throw
so he,
lettuce at him.
yeah,
Nice lettuce too.
yeah,
It wasn't
no
like
joke.
raw
Who would
lettuce.
waste that much lettuce? He leans against the wall, falls through. Turns out it's the house of some lady, right?
Mhm.
And Mad Mardigan has been fooling around with her,
Mhm.
and they're worried because her husband Lunk is about to come
Mm-hmm.
in the door any minute. And if Lunk catches her with another man, oh boy, there's gonna be some trouble, right?
So he's getting dressed up.
So
like a lady.
Mad Mardigan, instead of leaving through the door that Willow just came through, decides to dress up in a not very convincing woman
I think
costume.
it's because he doesn't want to leave. You know, he wants another go
Well,
at the wife.
But the thing is,
Well,
he's
guess
already
what?
half changed
That's
by
true.
the time
If-
this is all going down.
If he had just went like, hey lady, who I think I've been messing around with, I'm gonna go into this bar for a little while, have myself some mead.
Or I'm gonna
when Lunk comes
But
back,
it-
knock 3 times. I'll be right
But
in.
you know, his name's Mad Mardigan. He's a little crazy. Maybe he thinks it's a good time to dress up like a lady
Maybe.
and trick the hubby.
Yeah, maybe he thinks that. Well, it sure comes in handy when
Val Kilmer's future
Bad
wife walks in.
Morta's
Mhm,
daughter is leading the patrol that's in this area looking for Laura Dannon.
Yeah, her
and that's
name
when
is Sorsha.
Sorsha, that's right.
And she, if you want to see her beautiful body, she's in a movie called Entrapped or something.
or something. She's naked, whatever.
Yeah. Thanks, Mr. Skin. Thanks for that information.
This segment brought to you by Mr. Skin. Taste the
But go ahead,
sensation.
Jules. I just think that was a little bit of flaw in logic. I was just like,
I
hey
think they
man,
just wanted to put Mad Mardigan in a dress.
I mean,
with
a
some
lot of
fake
this,
boobs.
a lot of the setup, like a lot of these things are set up so that they serve another story beat down the line. that
sure,
they're
but it
all,
was silly.
No,
it was, it was clumsy.
Yeah,
I
I think that there are a number of those moments that happen, and yeah.
Nope, that's the only one.
I feel like a lot of these flaws too could have been fixed with some tighter editing because the film runs almost 2 hours and it could have easily been an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I feel like if you had jumped, I mean, maybe some of that was in this. I mean, I'm sure a lot of that was in the script. Maybe it couldn't have been fixed. But if you just jumped to where he's already dressed like a woman and you know what I mean, and the husband's
Yeah.
about to enter, like if there was less time, if the
Exactly,
movie
yeah.
moved quicker to where you didn't stop to think about these situations.
right,
and
like
you,
we didn't
you
have
just went
time.
with it. You know,
Yeah,
That's
like
what the Marvel movies do really
Right.
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Because you can really pick them apart afterwards, but right when they're happening, you're like, this is all
Right.
perfect.
You're along for
Well,
the
because again,
ride.
if like you're saying, if he rolled into the room and the guy's like, "Where is he? Where is he?" and
Yeah.
Madame Mardigan bursts out of the closet, "Oh, hey,
Yeah.
yeah,
what's up?"
exactly.
Oh, my name's Helga. Helga, wanna breed?
That's the gross.
That's the line that Lunk says.
Yeah, wanna
Gentlemen,
wanna breed.
meet Lunk.
But anyway, but the whole time I gotta say,
Oh, not a woman! Not a woman!
but I think the pairing between Mad Mardigan and what's Warwick Davis' character's name? Willow. So the pair between Willow and Matt Mardigan, like those two characters, like play off really well against
Yeah,
it. It's
they
kind of
really do.
like a buddy movie.
I
and
think the
vibe and
I don't know what. Maybe
Well, it's a little bit
maybe
of a
he's
love
got
triangle,
a bad.
'cause Matt Mardigan has also been seduced by this child.
He has.
it's
You
a
never
warm
ever
love
feed a
book,
baby blackroot. But
Don't
did you?
tell me what she needs. That's what he says in response.
Val Kilmer, I don't know why he's not. I don't know. Maybe he's just hard to work with or whatever. But he's magic on the screen. I really think like
he was particularly good in this movie. Like he has like so much energy in
Yeah.
every scene, and he really like lights it up.
he's
Yeah,
good. He's
little
a
over
good
the
actor.
top, which works for this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I always find him really good in roles where he's not carrying the whole movie, where he's
yeah.
just a part of a part of
Like
an
Real
ensemble.
Genius.
like Iceman. Yeah, and Real Genius.
But I
When
never.
he's in
But he I've never seen him have the same kind of physicality that he does in this role. Like he's really like I don't
Yeah.
know, maybe he had to psych himself up a lot.
he had to
I
do
don't
a
know.
lot of blow.
That makes a lot
Will
of sense.
blow.
You are great.
But yeah, I think that those two really carry this movie through because
Yeah, I think so too. They have like a genuine
chemistry. Yeah.
Yeah, well, not just chemistry. They're both charismatic. I
Yes.
find them both to be tremendously charismatic.
Yes. I don't know. I'm not gonna go through the whole plot. Like a lot of
Well,
twists and
the
turns.
basics is they run into the witch lady they need to find.
Yes.
been
Now
transformed.
they got to try to get her back towards, and they're like captured and uncaptured and But basically, they're brought to the witch, and they get to her castle, and it's
Wait, you skipped by the really cool sledding scene.
Sledding and snowball
Yeah.
scene.
There's
where
a really
he-
cool sledding scene. anyway.
But again, the other like this is a cartoon is when he like. But I love that
Yes,
part is
yes.
when he like
Yes,
rolls.
yeah.
Matt Mardigan catches up, and he's like in that classic like he was a
He
snowball. and
falls
he's
off
rolled
the
downhill.
sled up the mountain,
Yes.
and then later on they see him rolling in a giant like snowball down
But
the road.
and I almost skipped this part. So there's this part where they're in the basement of the thing, and
Some
What's the
village is
thing?
hiding them
Yeah,
and
the
some
snow
other
village.
resistance fighters.
and so they're hiding down there, and all these like super evil dudes, like Skull Mask General and
Kale.
and like sexy redhead Arrow Lady, and all these soldiers are
Sorsha.
walking around, and the baby's gonna start to cry, and Willow has to smother the baby to keep
Yeah.
her from crying.
and that was the season finale. That was the
that was the
series finale.
of Willow.
Yeah.
It was really like the dark, probably the darkest out for one of the like highest rated
Yeah,
TV
For a
outs.
show to be so beloved and that be the end of it.
Boy,
Uh,
yeah, that was
That's
mash.
deep. Yeah, that was deep. He went mash deep on that.
mashed deep.
That's why the show's called MASH.
Yeah.
They had to mash that baby.
Gosh.
The whole show led up to that one moment.
Yeah, they
That's
like
the series finale.
yeah, they finally like the soldiers have cleared out and they come up out of the thing. They're like, oh, we survived. What about that baby? they all look at the mother and she's like, and they all look at camera and they go, we mashed it. Roll credits like what is the song? This
Wackety sax.
no, well that would be great too.
Oh, the credits is a song called "Suicide is Painless." Is the
but
MASH theme song.
But they like speed it up, so it's like yeah. Mash
Boy,
that
though,
thing.
Alan Alda loses it on that
Yeah,
scene, though.
it was great to see them like cracking each other up.
But anyway, back to Willow and their
So
they meet up with this band of
they
band of
meet
freedom
up with the
fighters.
freedom fighters. They work their way back to the back.
The whole time is he was told Sherlindria tells them go to Tiras Lee. That's a kingdom or Tiras Lean. I think it's Tiras Lee, and there's an army there, and there that will be how you take on the
defeat her,
queen.
yeah.
And when they after running away and being caught and running away and being caught, they end up getting back to Tiers Lee. They get there, and it's been cursed. It's a cursed city with like people are frozen, and it's overrun by trolls.
Yeah, I think if in terms of editing, that entire set piece could have just been removed, and they could have gone with the soldiers from the basement of that one town, right to fighting the witch.
Oh, but that you have to have that because that has the dragon scene, that has the trolls.
It's a big action set piece, but you're right. It like in terms of plot.
There's no story. We already know that she's cursing people. We already know.
No, you see a nice turn between Willow starts to stand up for he really starts to like become like almost a warrior. He has to deal with his fears.
You also see that like Mad Mardigan's got skills,
and you see that Mad Mardigan's willing to sacrifice himself. To save the group. He's not just going to cut.
But you could have done all that at
you could have done that on the road or something.
But there's also also it's where he also gets to it's sort of like he gets to practice his magic before the final battle, kind of.
Well, he has already done it. He has already tried to transform the. So that's another subplot is Finn Rizal has been transformed into a little like sugar glider kind of a thing, like some kind
like
of little
alien.
Yep. And so Willow has to use the wand because she goes, well, Cheryl must have sent somebody who knows what they're doing. He's gonna transform me back to a person. I'll be able to use the wand and we'll be good. But Willow is just a farmer. He's not really that good at magic. So every time he transforms her, but into
different
something else. So like the first time he transforms her into a raven,
and then a goat.
A goat, but as a goat, she uses her goat horns pretty good when they need it.
That's right. And
it's also he's not just as far. He's also like got self-doubt and needs to like find his core,
finds his confidence as it goes.
Yeah.
But and then like so in one of the Willow, like I think he turns a troll into this weird like egg creature thing, and then it falls into the water, and then it becomes a giant two-headed dragon creature. Weird.
Like
the whole thing is so grotesque,
it's a double-headed
and weird.
Penis monster.
Yes, that's really the best way to describe it.
Odd, like a lot of odd design at this part, because I think the trolls are really grossly designed.
They look really lame.
They're really poor.
They look like something out of like Land of the Lost or something.
They were kind of like when I remember them being scarier
like
when I was younger.
Yeah.
But I also remember like the compositing on them, like crawling around, was like really bad.
Yeah.
But I just remember for some reason they were scarier in my head when I was younger, and
just the sound effects were pretty scary. But
good sound design.
Yeah.
Actually, I forgot to mention that in Neverending Story, great sound design.
Yeah, that's true.
We had the big speakers going, and it was like, whoa.
Oh, that's cool.
Sounded cool. So unnecessary big action set piece with a lot of action going on.
I think it's necessary. I thought,
but there were a bunch of scenes cut from the film, and there was kind of a, I guess, Sorsha's part, that's the evil witch's daughter who falls in love with Mad Mardigan. There was like more, because she basically at some point, like her and Mad Mardigan at first have like kind of, kind of butting heads, but there's, sexual tension between them.
And during this whole set piece, she's watching him wistfully.
Right, yeah, she like really like admires him, and that's when she falls in love with him, kind of. And then it's sort of like once she falls in love with him, then she joins their side, and that's kind of it. And she sort of disappears.
Yeah, but she doesn't just fall in love with him. She falls in love with the idea that people would risk so much for hope and for, you know what I mean?
Maybe, although
to her that seems like, at first it seems crazy, and then she starts to see the kind of like...
But it's not like given a whole lot of screen time. You kind of like have to fill in the
Yeah, but I think you're given enough.
But there's another thing. So when they arrive at that castle, it's cursed and everybody's like frozen in stone or whatever. So there was a scene that was cut where her own father was one of those people.
Cool.
And so that's one of the motivations that turns her against her mother. It's not just that she falls in love with Mad Mardigan. That's part of what is her wake-up call. I don't know why they cut it exactly. Maybe it was for time because it was getting long, but they could have cut some other stuff.
Well, they had to cut that so they could have all those funny scenes where the brownies are arguing with each other.
Like, we got to go this way. Okay.
That's a great imitation.
But when you get drunk, you forget.
And if you,
I am in charge.
And her father does appear at the end during the like celebration scene, and you're kind of like, who's that guy? And it's
the guy with the book.
Yeah, that's her father.
Yeah, wow.
So there you go. Well,
anyways, on the DVD, or did you find this online? Or?
I found it online. There was like a kind of deep dive like review video on YouTube where they talked about all kinds of stuff, and it must have been on the Blu-ray because they talked about this Blu-ray that we couldn't find. And I think it had a lot of extras because he
nice.
talked about all these deleted scenes. And I was like, oh. Anyway, so after that battle, then there's kind of the big, they finally all go to confront the witch at the big bad castle, which is very big bad looking.
And it's like, I mean, the set design for this thing is like, there's nothing there's no gray area about
no,
this
it's
thing.
like
It's
she's evil. This is the evil place.
This is the evil land.
Everything's
it's as evil as
black.
it can be.
Yeah.
She's got a bunch of cultists that hangs out with her.
Yeah.
And it's weird. It almost, that like foam filling, like that, you like yellow spray foam kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like the castle is just like dripping with this like black stone, but with this like yellow ichor that I think is just like filler foam that I don't know why they didn't just like paint it or something. It looks
Maybe they thought
like
it was
maybe just give
yucky-looking.
definition thing because like an all black castle probably wouldn't look as cool, but
I don't know.
it's like it's a little weird and a little gross. Like it's like I wouldn't really want to live here at all. This is really disgusting.
That's the point. Only evil
You have to
people
give
wanna
up your
live there.
humanity.
Yes, I don't know.
That's all part of it.
So then they have the big showdown. Like at first, you see how powerful the witch is because she turns the whole army into pigmen and then into pigs, and so then they have to convert them back. And then finally they have the showdown. There's this like stupid like, oh, I've got an idea, like clever trap. And really, all it is, they all hide in holes in the ground.
It's
and then
also
No.
opposite-
It's a
it's like-
real.
it's an opposite sneak attack.
No, it's a real thing because they're like, there's a big giant castle with a big gate up. What are we supposed to do? Well, we have to draw them out, draw the army out. That way we can get into the castle.
But this whole time
I
they
mean,
weren't. They
there's
couldn't notice that they were digging big holes right in front of them.
No, they assumed they were all pigs.
I mean,
it was in
it
the
was silly.
black of night.
And the other thing is like the way they explain this thing is like we have these groundhogs or whatever. Like that's the whole explanation for gophers. And it's like, wait, okay, so you guys are gonna undermine the castle and like go through tunnels to get in.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking.
And then they do this like feint where they draw them out, and it's kind of like,
and then they pop out of the
okay,
holes.
So there's no
No.
So
They knew that if they taunted them, that the bad guys are bullies, they would go out.
Especially
and try
the guy who runs the door, who couldn't like shut the door behind everybody. Like
He was out on the field.
Anyways, they draw them out and then surprise attack them and get into the castle, and then we have the big witch on witch showdown.
Hot witch on witch action.
Yeah, which is pretty crazy and over the top.
I liked it.
And like both of the witches look real like scary and
creepy,
weird.
Crazy.
That's what magic does to you.
And by the way, the good witch lady, she
Finn
was
Rizal.
also in Neverending Story. She
Really?
played, like there was the couple that are like scientists.
Oh
or
yeah,
whatever.
that's right. Yeah.
She's the like
Huh.
wife or
Really?
whatever. Yeah, I was like,
the ones with the like long noses and
And
like buck
to
teeth.
kind of jump back to
Yeah.
that too, Princess Bride, because we were talking about
Yeah.
this, like has another sort of meta outside someone reading the same story thing.
Right.
It also has the two
The
like
couple like that.
like
yeah.
kibitzing couple who just like
Miracle Max.
One's the magician and one's the like they're kind of doting characters, but it's a very similar bickering duo.
80s fantasy tropes.
Yep.
Anyway, so there's the big showdown, and in the end, like
Willow mind freaks them.
yeah, he does. He
With
ends
a
up
little bit
using
of-
a cheesy parlor trick to fool
Yeah.
the queen.
And she's like,
There's no such spell.
yeah, she's like, that's not possible. How did you know I had the 8 of clubs? Her head explodes. And then the blood of her head paints an 8 of clubs on the wall.
Willow's mind.
And Willow just looks right in the camera.
Yeah, he's like, and his like, and he shows his silver
one can
rings
see.
and
and
he appears to levitate. Yeah, and then we cut to like happy ending party celebration that looks exactly like the one at the end of
Star
Wars and Return of the Jedi.
No, they give him a magic book, and at the end,
Oh, but
he shows the Grand Elder that he knows the same magic to throw an apple up and to turn it into a dove.
But that's the second.
No,
ending.
that's the second ending. So
Yeah.
after the big Star Wars ending celebration, then he goes back home. Willow goes back home, and that's where he gets to celebrate with his peeps.
And then they have Empire Strikes Back ending.
Right. Yes, you're right.
No,
So they have them all.
Return of the Jedi
Turn
ending.
it. But no, they have an Empire Strikes Back ending. They cut
Where Mel
Willow's hand
Mardigan is
off. And he's like, "Hey, I was your father the entire time."
Hell no!
No.
That's impossible.
Impossible. What do you mean it was my finger that had the power? It was your finger the entire time, Willow. No! And he chops his own finger off.
But anyway, I think the movie still holds up. I think like it looks real good. Like,
Music is fantastic.
and the effects hold up surprisingly well.
Some of them,
except for the brownies, I would say.
There's
and
a few
and
other
the trolls.
things.
He's right about the trolls.
The trolls. That's true.
Basically,
Like corners and
anything
colors.
that requires like compositing stuff.
Yeah.
Because
Except the dragon compositing was really good, or whatever you call that.
But
word
the, but
creature.
the world was really like looked good and was grounded, and the costumes and I really liked, and the matte paintings are just awesome on both movies, even in Neverending Story. Like the matte paintings are just amazing. Like you don't know, like I have to be like, oh yeah, those are probably matte paintings, but they just totally fool you.
Yeah. It makes me wonder why they don't do that more. I mean, can it be that much more expensive to do that
They still
than
do
to
matte
build
paintings.
Yeah, but not like Game of Thrones and stuff. That stuff would be.
They do digital matte paintings now too.
They just build models. I feel like their digital
Yeah.
matte paintings are like renderings.
I mean, the advantage is you can have camera moves.
Well, I understand that, but I just
But you'll have
there's
smoke
something
and
to
birds and shit.
there's something to those old matte paintings it
Yeah.
just feels more real.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think it's still, excuse me, still, even though like I feel like we mostly talked about a lot of the movie's problems, there's a lot of the films where you're just kind of swept away in the story, and
Right.
the main characters are so like endearing and you really buy into them, and you really care about Willow, and so that's kind of what carries you through, and you kind of like like look past a lot of the problems except for the brownies. Die brownies, die.
Is that why you're wearing that shirt? Die, brownies, die.
No, but that's a good one.
And you really feel like his homecoming when Kaya's wife comes out. You really feel it. It's a real like magical thing. I think the fact that he comes. In fact, it's like they are the ones that kind of give him power when he finally gets the confidence. It's through like tapping into his relationship with that. He's like for Kaya and the Bobbins.
Yeah,
So.
it's like a real drain the swamp moment too, where he's been sent out to just take out big government.
Yeah,
like he's of the people and for the people.
Yeah.
And he's just gonna clean house, and they just need to get out of his way.
just got to let him do what he does best.
That's right.
Get in
And
there
so-
and manage.
It's a populist message.
So he needs to like make a pact with a mad Mardigan, with a strong wild man from another country who just kind of
with like dicey allegiances.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? But
Some
it's,
people consider him a criminal.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's got to put a child in power
Mm-hmm.
because she's, because of who her parents were.
Yep.
Yep.
I mean, that baby's so cute. It's got to be a great leader.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know she's a great leader because she talks to fairies
Yeah, but
and has brownies do all her dirty work.
what's weird too is like the prophecy is that she'll be the undoing, but it's not her really.
Well,
that's,
but that's
why
that's
you
like
gotta
the,
you gotta really pay attention to those prophecies.
yeah, the
Uh-huh,
twisted end of
uh-huh.
prophecy. is
Words
like
matter,
Chasing, she's the end of it, but it's because she's
not
the
because of her
catalyst.
directly.
Right.
It's because of her thirst for power.
It's because she's so darn cute.
Yeah,
Everyone's
exactly.
gonna want to save her.
Mm-hmm.
So Brian, when did you first see Neverending Story Part
I
2,
s-
Willow?
Never ending story. But for Willow, I saw that in the theater. I do remember
That's
seeing that in the
cool.
theater, and it was pretty impactful. And I mean, also just to see a cast of characters. I mean, obviously Warwick Davis, and you have him playing as an Ewok, and but besides Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, I don't think I've ever seen people like me on film as like just characters, not just
Yeah.
as costumed characters, but
Right.
as just this village family. And then they really sold that, and they did a really great job of that.
Mm-hmm.
Gave some stakes to him, and I don't know. I love Warwick Davis and almost everything, so more power to that man. But yes, I mean, I think it was like that in like Little Mermaid with the first few movies I saw in theaters. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah.
Did you see the what's the show with him and Ricky Gervais?
Life is Short.
Yeah, did you see that show?
No, I haven't seen that yet.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah,
I like
there's-
it a lot.
They have. I haven't seen much of their show, but I did find some clips because him and Val Kilmer are in. Like Val Kilmer makes cameos on the show.
Okay.
because the idea is, it's a very meta kind of show where he plays himself, and
He's trying to get back in the game.
yeah, so he's trying to get a Willow sequel going, and so that's why like Val Kilmer shows up, and Val Kilmer plays like a very weird version of himself.
Is this like what?
I don't
is
know
this
if
Fat
it is-
Kilmer or is this?
Yeah,
It's getting
kinda.
there.
It's like
Yeah.
getting
modern.
there.
It's like modern.
I know he's gone up and down. So
He's a little thick in the face. I don't know. Anyway, but he does this thing where he's constantly like putting on his Batman mask, and is like guess who I am kind of thing. But no one guesses who he is because they guess all the other Batmans except for him because no one remembers that he was Batman.
Well, another great character, Billy Bartley. He's
Billy
like,
Barty.
yeah, he was. He plays the wizard,
Yeah.
like sage of the town.
oh right, yeah.
And he was like in Time Bandits
Mhm.
and just.
Was he in
yeah.
Time Bandits? I don't think
I
he
think
was in Time
was.
Bandits.
No, I'm pretty sure he was.
No, he's been in a lot of stuff. He was in The Wizard of Oz even
Oh yeah, that's right.
way back then, but I don't
Yeah.
think he was in Time Bandits. But Burblecut was in Time Bandits.
Yeah.
The guy that plays Burblecut.
Mhm.
And I didn't see Time Bandits till well after this.
Well, that's probably appropriate because
Oh, yeah.
Time Bandits is not very good
Oh,
for
yeah.
little kids.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But remember the guy with the beard who he gets turned into a pig or he falls off the end of the like he's
right.
holding on to the cage. That's Burblecut.
Oh right.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the
Um,
actor that plays him.
But also, Warwick Davis made he put together an agency for actors and
Small
of
stature.
small
Mhm.
stature, and in fact, his casting agency, like in Deathly Hallows, like every goblin in the bank, every one of those characters is from his casting agency.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
So he has made sure to represent and really
Yeah.
good.
And also
Professor
pushing.
Flitwick.
Yeah, but also pushing forward. I mean,
Mhm.
we're also at this time and age where you could just, let's just do CGI with this, and it's like.
Right.
There's just don't do it. I mean, you have actors that are willing to do these jobs, and also it's just the effect that you get
Yeah.
and the variety that you can get. It's
The
just-
interaction too.
Yeah.
With yeah.
so I know I just all power to them.
Also, it's like I don't know, people are all come in all different flavors, and so
Yeah.
all the more reason just to again diversify and represent.
Is he from Australia?
I thought he was British.
Is he British?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Because he's the voice of Rocco from Rocco's Modern Life.
Oh,
too,
really?
I think. Yeah.
that's cool.
I might be wrong about that, but
Sure. He
mean-
plays Ren in the Ren and Stimpy show.
really good movie. I had always bristled slightly against the Willow scale because I always like Willow more than I think it's above a C average.
A C plus.
But that really
75.
helps me in
I
my
think
scale.
it's a B. A
Ooh.
solid
Yeah,
B.
B.
B
No,
plus.
No, it's a
Yeah.
C plus.
That's a B.
I give it a B at least.
No,
I like it, and just for the music alone,
music's really
so
good.
good.
It's just all the performances are good. There's some I don't know. There's just some storytelling aspects, and like you're saying, the editing where it could be a lot. It
Yeah,
could
but
be
there's
a lot.
There's
tighter.
a lot of and then this happens and then
It's
that
very
happens.
George Lucas.
Yeah. Yes.
That's
That's
the
Although he
thing.
didn't write the script, but it was story by. But maybe the script writers.
His ego
hands
is
were
all
tied.
on it.
George is like, you can't take out the brownies.
Yeah, but they bring comic relief. Hey Ron, I think we should really keep in the.
No, I don't think we should keep in the.
No, we should keep in the brownies.
Hey, Ron, why are there only 2 brownies in this scene? Where are the other 40 brownies? Hey, I thought you said you were going to kill all the Daikini off, and then it would be brownies and Willow. And so what they were going to do is they were going to drill holes in the wall of the castle, and that's why he said gophers.
Yeah, Mad Mardigan is actually 100 brownies dressed as a man to go
I was-
unnoticed.
I was thinking if we could make this into an action figure,
No, you see, the baby needs to die, and so does Badmorda, because then the brownies can rule. The brownies can have the whole of the planet. It's all the brownies' plan, you see.
No, we go this way. Misa, go this way. This way. The movie is over. Get out.
Did anybody ever play the Willow video game?
I'm
No,
sure
I'm
played
looking it
There
up,
were-
and
Is it
there
on
were
NES?
there were actually several different ones.
Oh, really?
Or
Several?
different platforms.
Oh, I played the
But
SNES
I think the
one.
best one was the SNES one.
Yeah,
It was like a
yeah.
platformer.
Yeah.
Because there was a platformer, and then there was another one I think for NES that was like more Zelda style, but that one
Yeah,
looked kind of
top
crappy.
down.
And then there was like an Amiga or computer one that was really terrible.
They just redressed Zelda in some way.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it looks
Did
like.
they
But there was a platformer that
was
looked
there
pretty
an
good.
animated series? Or am I crazy?
I think there was, but because I think when I did a search,
I don't
it
remember
came up.
that.
Maybe I'm just thinking of
No,
the
I think that was
toys and there might
Never-Ending
have been
Story.
commercials.
I think Neverending Story
Had an animated series?
had an animated.
I might
thing.
just be thinking that there were like animated commercials for the figures or something like that.
I think there were a lot of like marketing times.
But I do remember like I don't know which fast food place, but there were like Willow cups and stuff you could get.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, there
were
was a lot. There was a lot of that stuff.
There's
I
a
remember there
ton
was
of
a.
merchandise.
They
Yeah,
had it at
Lucas,
Hardee's.
Lucas knew how to do that stuff.
So if you poured soda into your glass, like it would look like the woods, but once it got cold, Cherilindria shows up in the woods.
Ooh.
Oh yeah,
What?
it was a plastic cup. It wasn't a glass. It was a plastic cup. Mm-hmm.
Fancy.
And so I was dead wrong. He was not the voice of Rocco's Modern Life.
Huh.
It was a fella named Carlos
Santana.
Alizraki. Carlos Alizraki.
Was that the guy from like Reno 911?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in.
Hey, I watched that. That was a good show.
He is in Reno 911.
There you go.
There you go.
All right. So where can people watch Willow right now?
Well, right now, unless you buy a used DVD or Blu-ray, it seems to be
Which are
out of print.
very expensive.
Yes, it seems to be out of print right now. So,
Which is really
but
weird. Do you
I
think that
was
they're
able to
doing that to ramp up for a remake?
I don't know what they're doing. But I was able to
Trying
find
to
it.
clean it from our collective consciousness, so it's harder for us to judge movies.
But as of right now, you can find different versions of it on YouTube. Some of which are decent. Although the version I had was great, except it was just like missing the final scene.
You know the YouTube version?
Yeah, but I
There's
was
a-
able to find
There's
another
another clip
Yes,
that's called
exactly.
the ending.
Exactly.
So
That's how
here's-
they got away with it.
But here's something we
Yeah.
didn't answer last episode. So this is something for those who have stuck around for 2 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Is the Neverending Story better or worse than Willow?
I think it's
Ooh.
equal to Willow.
I
Ooh.
I put it equal.
I might put Willow slightly above it.
I don't know.
Oh.
Personally,
As the movie.
just I don't know. I think it's just more my speed. Even though I think they both have flaws storytelling.
Well,
wise
the
and so
other-
forth.
Even
The-
with the sadness wanks?
See, I don't really.
I
I'm not really
think-
into
Yeah,
that.
okay.
I
Gotcha,
think that
yeah.
the Neverending Story might tip over for me because even though I really
Mhm.
Tip
I'll-
over like higher than Willow?
higher, a little bit higher than Willow,
Whoa.
just because it's a tight 90, like it's
Yeah.
only
Yeah,
an hour and a
it's-
half.
It's much shorter.
And the like the
no
trope-
brownies.
The tropes in Willow are very like Eurocentric, like fantasy kind of stuff,
Yeah.
and Neverending Story
It's-
is very unique.
Yeah, it's
and
very
so like all the
weird.
monsters and like it's weird and
Yeah.
and nice, whereas Willow is very traditional in terms of its like it fits very cleanly into our high fantasy for that reason.
Yeah.
So that's why it tips just a little bit over. Again, I think they're almost on on par, but I think Neverending Story, just for being a little bit shorter and a little
Yeah.
bit weirder, gets just the slightest edge for me.
Yeah, I think it being shorter is a big plus, but I think I just care about the characters in Willow a lot more. I
Right.
think that's kind of why I put it above. Even though I think Neverending Story is more imaginative and more visually dazzling, and like you said, a little weirder, I just care about the characters in Willow
Yeah.
more. And that's what puts it over the top.
I see both of your points, but I probably put them both even with both those pluses within what you're trying to describe. I mean, Willow just has that energy against each other. I mean, Mad Mardigan and Willow against each other, working
yeah.
against each other. I mean, if there was something like that in Neverending Story, obviously, but it doesn't have that. But Neverending Story has all of this other stuff that
Yeah.
Willow just does.
I just really wish Willow was as big as Star Wars so that nerds out there would make like a new edit of it where they just, cut out half an hour.
Jules, be the change that you want to see.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I just don't care enough, Also, then that would like having another alternate version out there.
So
would mess
are
with
you
our
trying to
rating
reach out to
system.
Topher Grace and say, hey, Topher?
That also leads me to my other because I'm watching Neverending Story. There's that whole whole part where there's like, they're flying through the vast waste that once was the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, someone should cut the like Death Star test sequence where they blow up the planet.
Yeah, because
And
there's
then-
a scene where the two things collide and blow up.
Where the Death Star blows up Leia's planet.
Uh,
And then it's all asteroids, and then you just show like the Luck Dragon flying through and that whole thing. That would be good. But
that would be pretty easy to do.
yeah, it's a simple little cut. I also wanted to note that like the costumes, like the most colorful costumes are the like Willow has a really nice costume, and a lot of the people of his village, their costumes, the Nelwyns are the sort of more colorful and interesting costumes, but they're very like European and actually lean towards that like the Finnish and like Northern European styles and pretty neat for that.
In fact, the costumes of the Nelwyns look an awful lot like the costume of the guy in Frozen, whose name I don't know.
Frederick.
Very similar.
Frederick Frozen.
Frederick?
Yeah, so good pick, Jules.
Christoph.
Yeah, I'm glad you looked that up. That was not necessary.
Christoph Cold, that's right. I forgot. I knew it was an alliteration about chilly things.
Just another one of those weird tabs that are in your on a new search.
It's just you just had that ready to go. All right. So you can't really watch it anywhere but YouTube right now, right? Unless you own it.
Yeah, I don't think you could. I couldn't
It's
find
not
any
really
place you could
All
actually
you poor
buy it.
suckers out there, you should have just bought the DVD when you had a chance. It was
No, the Blu-ray. You should have bought the
$5.99.
Blu-ray.
There's
while you
probably
bought it.
$5.99.
Probably one of those random like streaming services has it in their catalog ready to go or something too.
Hulu or something.
Yeah.
Maybe.
All right. Jules, thanks again. Good pick.
Of course, the best pick.
No, it's a medium, like a 75 for a pick. Good.
It's as good as Willow.
Yeah, that pick was about as
It's
good
an
as well.
all right pick. It's all right.
All
Pick that you
right.
measure all against.
Wait, so
Does this
what
mean
is,
that this is
wait,
the
so
episode?
what is the musical equivalent of Willow? I'm still.
Or some
Huey
aspect
Lewis.
of Huey Lewis.
Huey
Probably
Lewis.
if you wanted one
This is
song,
it.
this is it. This is it.
Ooh,
Don't
let me know.
Maybe.
I'm going
This
to eat a
is
sandwich
I was-
on the
when-
beach, you know.
When Platt first proposed it, I was very enthusiastic, but maybe it's because it was so much better than what John was proposing. Now I'm less.
Oh,
I'm a little more
she's
Spin
been
lukewarm.
right.
doctors.
Dun, 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 ba, ba, dun, bum, bum.
Yeah, it's definitely Huey Lewis.
Marry him or marry me. I'm the one that let you, baby, can't you see? I ain't got no.
Dracula.
Dracula. All right, good
Yep.
pick, Jules.
Good
Let's
pick,
roll out of
Jules.
here.
Yeah, right. Let's get out of here.
The omen is true.
Where's the baby?
My children found this baby alone by the river.
This child is special.
This baby will not destroy me. Find the child! Time is running out.
Elora Danon has chosen you to be her guardian.
Me? You need a warrior for a job like this. I'm a nobody.
George Lucas.
Such a question, there are many possible answers, such as hard work.
Feel I'm alone in this whole of existence. I know it takes time, but I'm losing my persistence. The distance is too far to fetch. So
Hey everybody,
I
thanks for listening to another episode of the New to You Show, High Fantasy. We got one more left before we roll into the next topic, so join us next week for the fourth in our High Fantasy pick. I was one of your hosts, John Holt. You can find me on Twitter at LordJoho and on Instagram at board_ghost. And you can listen to my podcast, boardghost.com, where we do RPG stuff. Keith, where can people find you?
Well, you can frolic in the high fantasies of your game.
Some of them are fantasy.
Board Ghost. But my name's Keith Vincent. You can find my stuff on earthlingkeith.com. So take a look. Jules?
You can find me on Twitter or Instagram at BeautifulJules, Jules. And how about you, Brian?
You can find me, Brian Jones, at Twitter, Instagram, Low Roar, that's AOWROAR, and also my collaborative work with other people through punchthedevil.com.
Punch it.
Punch it up. All right. So who's got something that's new to them this week? Should it be me?
I think it's Brian Jones.
All right, Brian, what's new to you this week?
I don't know. Went to a screening for this film, just like you, Jules. It's called Look and See. It's a portrait of this writer that I've read a couple things about, but this thing, what he was trying to do and trying to say, it's supposed to be a documentary, but he was a bit too humble to do a documentary about himself. So he did a documentary about his town. So it's this writer from Kentucky called Wendell Berry, and he writes a lot about agrarian life and writes a lot of essays about poetry. Writes a lot of essays and also poetry. And it was a great movie, and they had a screening afterwards with his daughter. Screening with the Q&A afterwards with his daughter. And Nick Offerman was also a producer on it because he's a big fan as well. But it gave me a nice, because I grew up on the beach and the shores of New Jersey, and I don't really know much about country life or mountain life or much about Middle America. I think that's pretty foreign to me, and gave me a nice little portrait of just how he grew up and also his farm life and his perspective on life. He writes a lot about just his philosophical understanding of the way the world should be and how the world is lost in a lot of ways. And definitely, even through the Q&A, definitely our political climate was brought up in some ways, but, this definitely was some insight to some of these people and the way that they live life and how, the corporate world has ravaged country life, and that, there's this desperate need out there, and they're trying to hedge their bets on anything that can give them hope. Sadly, it was, definitely not given to them in the right way, but, gave me a little bit of insight onto his world. As much as I read a little bit about him, and read his stuff, it was good. Yeah, so I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with his work, but
Yeah, I've read a couple of his books. I really like his writings.
yeah.
But what was the name of the documentary again?
It's called Look and See, a portrait of Wendell Berry.
And how's the documentary framed? Like, what is the format?
So he's not even in it whatsoever. They interview his wife. This is all on purpose, because he just is this humble. But he provides the voiceover through these through these poems that he has. And then they also just go into his small town, Port Royal, Kentucky, and they interview some of the farmers and how life has just adjusted and moved way faster than they could have ever imagined, through farming equipment, just through the details. And I think if you ever read anything by him, he goes into the details of things, of how, things have changed. I could tell you one chapter I read of a book he wrote about a couple of years ago about the difference between harvesting wood out of a forest, whether you use, obviously machinery, or you use, a horse that can just pull out each log at a time. And that doesn't, a horse, even with it trampling through the ecosystem, doesn't disturb the ecosystem nearly as much as what a machine does, even if they believe that they're doing things in the right way. So he just goes into the details of that. But the documentary is framed in some part how he writes.
So the way I'm visioning this is that each person he interviews has like a portrait of him, like hanging in the background.
Right.
And that he paints, like when they finally do show him, he's painting these portraits, like he's providing them. And he lives in a house that's shaped like his own head. And everyone talks about how humble he is. And
right. He definitely seems like a character that could do something like that. But yeah, I don't know. That was new to me.
Cool.
Just that movie.
And is it out anywhere? Can people see it?
I think it's, if you're in New York area, I think it's, I saw it at the IFC. I don't think it's playing anywhere else, but it's playing throughout the country, trying to get some steam, through some festivals and things like that. But
And if they were to read his work, what was an entry point? What would you recommend?
He's also written novels before, so, Jaybird Crow is probably one of his more famous novels. He's written a lot of essays. The entry point of essays that I read by him was Sex, Economy, Freedom, and Community. And he's speaking about all those sorts of subjects in the way that, he approaches the world. He's pretty conservative, but he sees the world in a very, objective, way.
Right, like give him a chance. It's only been 6 months.
I think,
but yeah,
I think bringing it to the table was the essay collection that I first read, and that's about like food and farming, and I think that's pretty. To me, that's a pretty apolitical in some ways.
Right.
It should be anyways. It's just caring about how food is grown and all that kind of
And
stuff.
he usually is apolitical.
Yeah, no nonsense. But that was a great collection. I think I read it for like a garden book club, and it was actually
Anybody
led
that's
to really good discussions. And stuff.
anybody that's has some sort of affinity for that agrarian life or has some love for that, will stumble upon his work eventually.
Nice. Stout Woods.
Yeah, it'll be out there.
That'll be just like a tree carved to look like him.
Yes.
I like the stuff that Nick Offerman's producing. Did you guys see? I think it's called The Kings of Summer. That's a movie I think he directed it. It's really cool. I really like that movie.
Good?
Yeah, it's really fun.
Hmm.
It reminds me of if I were like 15, it would be my favorite movie, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Keith, what would be your pick for high fantasy as your favorite movie?
As my favorite movie, my pick for high fantasy is a comic book called Bone. I'll tell you all about it next week.
All right. So Bone, Jeff Smith's Bone.
Jeff Smith's
How
Bone.
can people read Bone?
You can. I bet you there's a bunch of snippets online, but the collection I really like is the and people can probably disagree with me, but the Scholastic put out a nice bunch of trade paperbacks, and they've been colorized, which the purists might not like, but I think they did a very nice job.
And I
of
think
it.
there's a super collection that has the whole shebang in one trade.
There's an image. I think there's an image trade that has the big omnibus kind of thing. But but I like it's just easier to carry around like each section of the story.
I just tear the parts of the omnibus
good.
I want to read
Good
out.
thinking.
That's true. I have the big collected paperback, and it's great to have it all in place, but it is a bit awkward to read.
Yeah.
It's like a shrunken phone book.
It really is. But I mean, it lasted so long. There's just a lot. There's a lot to cover in there. That's why the Scholastic books they're not so small that you finish it in one train ride, but they're not so big that you don't mind carrying it around in your backpack.
I like that they're kind of like European comics. They're like hard cover.
Mhm.
Like I don't know. I feel like it deserves that quality. I kind of wish I had gotten those, but I didn't.
Still can.
Yeah.
You can borrow them from me. But check that out, Bone by Jeff Smith.
Cool.
We'll tell you about it next week.
All right. So to find out more about the subjects in this episode, go to nudyshow.com. You can leave us comments there on Nudie Show. You can also leave us comments on iTunes or reach out to us on Instagram. No, you can't really do that. On Twitter at Nudie Show. You can also, subscribe through your favorite podcast listening portal.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's about it, gang. We'll be back for one more high fantasy and then and one more week with Brian, and we'll make sure to have him back because he's been a blast to have.
Yeah.
And yeah, one more to go. One more week, gang. May not be new.
No to you. Explosion sound.
Pitiful life is all about the music. This pitiful life is all about the music. This pitiful life is all about the music. This pitiful life is all about the music.
With